It was an innocent swim in a neighborhood stream. But for 11-year-old Brioni Goodsell, it would be her last. The young girl didn't stand a chance.
I got no doubt there will be another death from a crocodile attack.
Australia's killer crocodiles are moving in. The city of Darwin is under attack, and nowhere's safe to swim.
Doesn't like your boat, Gary.
Scientist Adam Britton is now on a mission.
Now he's not happy.
Where are the crocodiles coming from? And how can he help stop them? Darwin, Australia. A bustling city on the fringe of a tropical sea. Life here is lived on the water. Children swim in the billabongs. Fishermen ply every creek. And weekends are spent relaxing on the beach. But life is about to change. A deadly predator has come to town. The Australian saltwater crocodile. This terrifying reptile has become Darwin's biggest villain. A recent string of crocodile attacks has gripped the Northern Territory. And there's a frightening new trend. The latest attacks are in places that don't have crocodiles. At least, that's what people thought. April 2008. A woman survives a croc attack in Litchfield Park. February 2009. A monster croc is found in a popular tourist spot. March 2009. A little girl is killed in a neighborhood stream. Attack after attack where people thought they were safe. Luckily for Darwin, the city is home to one of the world's leading crocodile experts, Adam Britton. He's studied the saltwater crocodile for many years and knows its habits better than most.
Saltwater crocodiles eat all kinds of things, and they tend to be very curious. And it's that trait that can make these guys so dangerous.
The salty is far more aggressive than its cousin, the American alligator. It's not something you'd want living in your backyard.
They're opportunistic predators. If food presents itself, they'll catch it and they'll eat it. But if there's no food around, they can just wait for another day, another week, another month, another year. Crocs can go for almost 2 years without a single bite to eat and still survive.
They are the world's largest living reptile.
The largest crocodiles that we know of were over 20 feet long, and it would have weighed at least a ton.
Their jaws have the power to crush a water buffalo's skull in one bite.
What makes crocodiles dangerous after they've bitten you is the fact that they then use their entire body to break you into small pieces. What's changed in the last few years is that the crocodile attacks have started taking place in places where people did not expect to find crocodiles.
Adam's determined to find out what's caused the reptile invasion. He begins his investigation on the outskirts of Darwin at the site of a recent attack. 11-year-old Brioni Goodsell disappeared while swimming in a local stream called Black Jungle Creek.
G'day, Adam. Peter.
Police Sergeant Peter Schiller got the call when Brioni went missing.
I'll just take you down this way.
He had little to go on. His only witnesses were 3 distraught children. Black Jungle is an idyllic spot. But on the day Brioni disappeared, The water was running high from recent rains.
So this is the creek.
Yeah, you can see the kids were swimming probably only 20 metres down this way.
Yeah. So when you first got here, what information did you actually have about what had happened?
There was some uncertainty as to whether the lass had gone missing because of the current, and there was a possibility that she could have been washed downstream and made her way to the shore. Certainly we weren't looking for a body that evening, we were looking for a live girl.
By the time the search begins, darkness has fallen. The conditions couldn't be worse. And the men face an even greater danger. The possibility of a killer crocodile still on the prowl.
These fellas didn't have to go in there, but you couldn't have stopped them. They've got children themselves. So around 10 o'clock that night, the guys had made their way down as far as they possibly could. And unfortunately we had to make the decision to call them out of the swamp to recover and be ready to go at first light.
Daylight brings renewed effort. When they discover the shorts Brioni was wearing, it doesn't look good. Then, a little farther downstream, the men find what they'd been dreading.
In mid-afternoon, unfortunately, we found Briony's remains and an area where there'd obviously been crocodile activity. I don't think there's any fans of crocodiles amongst my men, and if there was before, there's certainly not now.
It's been 1 year since Brioni Goodsell's death.
Well, Brioni was my first, and I just got so many fond memories of even when she was such a little girl, and she'd have our day all planned out. It'd just be us two.
Charlene O'Sullivan lives less than 2 miles from the creek. She's furious that residents weren't warned about the risk of crocodiles.
So you had no idea that there were actually crocodiles in that reserve?
None at all. None at all. If I had have known there was a crocodile there, there is no way my dog would have even gone there.
To the best of your knowledge, what actually did happen?
Like any other Saturday, Sunday afternoon with the kids, they went for a ride on their bikes down to the little swimming hole, which does eventually run into the Black Jungle Swamp.
Brioni, her little sister, and 2 local friends swam in the creek all the time. But on this day, the water was unusually high.
And Brioni jumped off the side of the bank. She came up very briefly to yell out help. They saw something. They don't know if it was a head or a tail. Sounds like, from what the kids said, it was laying in the bottom of the pool and she jumped on it. It came up, grabbed her, and that was it. I didn't realise how close they are to houses. That was only about 50 to 100 metres away from someone's front door. It just changes that sense of security that you never know where you could possibly stumble over one, and what the hell would you do if you did?
Do you think there's a place for crocodiles in and around cities where people live, or do you think they should all be excluded from those areas?
I don't think crocodiles have any place near human habitat. Not at all.
But the crocodiles have arrived. And for some reason, they're attacking more in the wet season, which could be a clue. As the attacks increase in frequency, Adam Britton has a grisly task on his hands. He must train Darwin's rangers to perform a crocodile necropsy. When a person goes missing, priority number one is retrieving the body.
This is the heart. You can see it's still pumping away. Even after you've killed them, this heart will continue beating for maybe 8 to 10 hours.
The men are training for an event they hope will never happen again. But man-eaters are in the water. Another attack is inevitable.
There are certainly going to be more attacks. Whether or not people can retain enough respect for crocodiles not to simply take the easy option and go out there and shoot them all, that's going to be a challenge.
The death of Brioni Goodsell in a creek near her home ignites a fear of crocodiles in the city of Darwin. But no matter how scared people are of crocodiles, they just can't seem to get enough. At Crocosaurus Cove, visitors pay $100 to get within a few feet of these giants.
I strongly believe that Australians are very conflicted in their feelings about crocodiles. On the one hand, you've got this fascination, and on the other hand, you have a fear. And it's this conflict, this interplay between fascination and fear, which I think gives crocodiles such appeal.
Now, Sissy's got him there, lined up.
To witness them up close and personal in the wild, the easiest place to go is the Adelaide River.
There we go, beautiful jump there to start. Right here on spectacular jumping crocodiles. It's a great way to see crocodiles, and we haven't had to go far today.
Well, this whole area now is surrounded by crocodiles. I can see at least 4.
The river, packed with dangerous reptiles, is less than an hour from the city.
And this guy is an absolute monster. He's huge. You see a crocodile like that a handful of times every year, and even then you're lucky. And he's going to push his body out of the water. And you've got to remember, this animal probably weighs about a ton. The tail is the powerhouse with the crocodile. It's half of their body length and is all muscle. And they use that to propel themselves forward at incredible speed, and it means they can push their entire body out of the water.
Oh, there we go, beautiful jump.
Big crocs mean big money for Darwin, drawing thousands of tourists.
It's something you won't get anywhere else in the world.
But crocodiles in the Adelaide River is one thing. In a small suburban stream like Black Jungle, it's a different story. Why would a saltwater crocodile that prefers large, brackish tidal rivers move to a tiny freshwater creek? Adam has to find out where it came from. He returns to Black Jungle to survey the area from a different perspective.
So now that we're up in the air, we can see the creek below us where Brioni was taken. But the higher we get, we can see in the distance that that creek leads downstream towards this floodplain.
The floodplain stretches as far as the eye can see. It's March, the end of the wet season. Monsoon rains have drenched the Northern Territory. The parched bush is transformed to an enormous wetland. But the flooded wetland is connected to the Adelaide River, the river that's full of jumping crocodiles.
So during the wet season, when this whole area is flooded, black jungle is directly connected by water to the Adelaide River. Now this is great habitat for saltwater crocodiles, but some crocodiles are moving into places like black jungle. Now black jungle is not very good crocodile habitat. So the question is, why on earth would they do that?
It's a pattern repeated throughout the region. The saltwater crocs are moving out of the large tidal rivers into narrow freshwater creeks, and that's where the attacks have been happening. But it's only half the story.
What's interesting about these crocodile attacks is they're not just taking place way upstream in these freshwater creeks, they're also taking place down here at the opposite extreme around the coast. In the last few years, there have been more sightings of saltwater crocodiles swimming around the coast, and there have been a number of crocodile attacks.
March 2010. Jeff Bolitho is attacked in the sea while diving near Darwin. It's the second recent attack along this stretch of coast. The first one was fatal. The sense of fear is everywhere. Attitudes are changing, and many locals have had enough. They're ready to kill the crocodiles. As the number of crocodiles in Darwin continues to rise, some locals are baying for blood, demanding a broad cull of the killer crocs.
Let them shoot them. Let the local fellas, the Aboriginals, get out there and take people out and shoot them.
Others favor a more restricted, licensed hunt.
There you go, fellas. Here's a cold one for you. Thanks, champ.
Thanks a lot for that, mate.
Taxidermist Mick Pittman hunted crocodiles illegally for 16 years.
Cheers.
He'd welcome the chance to lawfully hunt them again.
So, if you were put in charge of the crocodile management program around Darwin, would you actually want to go out there and start hunting the crocs again?
My word, I would. They're going to have to look at cutting the numbers down at least by another 30 or 40%. The animals have got to be removed because there's just not enough room for people and crocs to coexist together in that immediate area. You've got a dangerous animal out there in the environment, and you've got to respect that fact. You know, you just can't just bypass that animal's going to kill you.
But the government won't allow crocodile hunting. Instead, it's up to the park rangers to keep the city safe. Adam Britton joins Ranger Tommy Nichols on the front line. Nichols is fighting hard to keep the crocs away from people. His job is to remove every croc within 30 miles of the city. These days, Nichols is a very busy man. He has 20 crocodile traps set up around Darwin Harbor that need to be checked every week.
So your job is to take out every single crocodile that moves into that area?
We try to. In that management zone, it's no tolerance for crocodiles, so regardless of sizes, we try to capture every crocodile that goes in.
Do you reckon there's then more crocodiles that are actually moving into these areas now?
Most definitely. When we first started this particular program as a full-time job, which is 11 years ago now, we were only averaging 80 to 90 crocs a year. We're now getting 200 plus every year.
Adam knows the first step in solving a problem is understanding it. He needs to figure out why so many crocodiles are moving in this close to the city.
We've got a trap which is coming up now.
The gate's down, so you reckon there's a croc in that trap?
Yes, crocodile has definitely gone in there. So what we're going to do from now, we'll get all our gear ready. A snout rope will go first. That'll be placed over his top jaw. From there, we can put a zip tie on.
Whoa! He's not a very happy camper then, is he?
No, he isn't.
The team of rangers works quickly to get the situation under control.
Yep, I got him. Yeah, they tend to tire out, but he's still got plenty of life left in him, which he will soon show.
Still very dangerous.
The rangers take no chances. One false move, and they could lose a limb.
Now we will tape his jaws together just to make it nice and safe for us.
Yeah. He's still wacky with his head, though, if he's not careful.
Well, that's one of the things. They can do a lot of damage there, and a lot of them have teeth which are poking out the side. They certainly do have a lot of power. Now we're covering his eyes with duct tape. Now, once you cover the eyes, it's like any animal, they tend to slow down.
That really calms them down a lot, yeah.
No, keep further down.
A crocodile's hind legs might be short, but they're extremely powerful.
Now he's just taping his back legs. That's where he gets all his power from, out in the land, so to stop him from thrashing around too much in the boat itself.
Finally, the croc is secure. Its days swimming free are over. It's heading to a local crocodile farm.
So it looks to me like you guys have got a really efficient, safe system going here.
The system's only failed once when I had an accident with my hand. He jumped up and he grabbed me on the whole hand, but thank goodness he let go. And he just grabbed here, and they've done the damage when they do their twist. Yeah. And he twisted and just pulled those two fingers and a bit of hand off.
More and more crocodiles keep entering the harbor. Tommy knows his removal efforts are vital if he is to keep the city safe.
If we didn't have this program going, you could imagine the numbers of crocodiles which would be in Darwin Harbour would be quite high. So therefore the chances of a fatality would also be very high.
But what clues can the crocodiles offer to explain where they're coming from and why?
Out of the management zone, we get more males in the Darwin Harbour in the traps than we do females.
Nearly all males. And what sort of sizes?
The average size over a whole year would probably be around 2.5, 2.4.
So they're sort of immature, sub-adult males?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a crucial bit of information.
If we do a bit of investigative work and have a look at the profile of the typical attacking crocodile, a few things come out. The first is that most of the crocodiles doing the attacking tend to be males. And secondly, is that most of these crocodiles are not as large as you might think. Most of them are only about 3 meters long, which is about 9 to 10 feet. That's your typical profile of a deadly killer crocodile.
Adam has yet to see whether today's crocodile from the trap fits the bill. They bring it to the crocodile farm to determine its fate. A male of this size has skin that's too tough for leather. It's only good for its meat, and it will be killed. But if the trapped croc is a female, she'll join this lagoon of breeding females at the farm. The farm raises crocodiles for the leather trade. First, the eggs are collected and carefully incubated. The juvenile's sex depends on the temperature. Exactly 88.9 degrees produces males. Males grow faster and reach the ideal length of 5 feet quicker when they're harvested for their soft, supple skin.
One of the advantages of crocodile farming is that it gives crocodiles a value. And you'll find that as soon as an animal is worth something, it's much, much easier to conserve it.
It's time for the moment of truth.
Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
What will it be?
Neon.
A female croc breeder or a male croc burger?
So large crocodiles are very easy to sex. All we do is stick our finger here, and he's a male. But he's an immature male.
Adam notices marks on the croc's belly. They offer an intriguing glimpse into its history.
Looking at this crocodile's belly can tell us actually quite a lot about it. You see all of these marks here? These are called rake marks. And these are scars, bite marks inflicted by other crocodiles. And some of these are quite large. So this crocodile, which is only 9 foot long, has got some pretty large bite marks on its stomach. Now that tells me that this crocodile has been forcibly ejected out of where it was living. And this is the kind of animal that's a problem here. It's not the really big 14, 15, 16-foot crocodiles that are representing a danger to people, and it's not a 15-foot crocodile that took Brioni. It's an animal that's like this.
But where did he come from? Adam believes the answer is hidden in the past.
The time where things really changed for saltwater crocodiles was after the Second World War. In 1945, hunting of saltwater crocodiles took off in a way that they'd never seen before. And the crocodiles were slaughtered in their tens of thousands. It was estimated that in 1971, there were no more than 3,000 saltwater crocodiles left in the Northern Territory. The only reason that saltwater crocodiles survived up here at all is because there were places that people couldn't get to. These swamps that were very hard to access, full of disease, mosquitoes, snakes, all kinds of horrible things that most hunters just, well, were not interested in trying to tolerate. These were the areas where saltwater crocodiles survived.
If Adam can find those isolated swamps, then he might find the source of the recent crocodile invasion. Adam Britton is on a mission to find where the crocodile avoided extermination, hidden from the hunter's gun for much of the last century. His destination, 160 miles east of Darwin. Kakadu National Park. It's an ancient, unforgiving land. This protected reserve, twice the size of Yellowstone, is home to numerous swamps and 4 major river systems. Water cascades off a sandstone plateau created 500 million years ago, then saturates the floodplain below as the rivers wind their way north to the sea. It's a vast aquatic realm, and today, the crocodile reigns supreme. But the large rivers are also popular with fishermen, and the two don't always mix well. Sometimes there is such a thing as a free lunch, when it's caught on the end of a line. The stories of crocodiles harassing boats and stealing fish prove there are plenty of crocs in Kakadu's rivers today. But decades of hunting wiped out the crocodiles here, just like the ones near Darwin. So where have the new crocodiles come from? Once again, Adam needs to get above it all to see what's going on. Before him lies an expanse of impenetrable swamp.
So it's thanks to places like this that there are any crocodiles left here at all. It might look spectacularly beautiful, but it was just too difficult to access. And so this is the place that the crocodiles were able to survive, where you get these small pockets of breeding crocodiles.
In 1971, the saltwater crocodile became a protected species, and everything began to improve, at least for the crocodile.
When the hunting stopped, it was populations like this that were able to recover. They were able to breed, and as they bred, the crocodiles started to move back out into the tidal rivers. And once they got back in there, where all the best food was, their populations rocketed up.
The number of crocodiles increased so dramatically that now, just 40 years later, the rivers are full to capacity. As the riverbanks get more crowded, the battles for territory grow more fierce. Big boss crocs defend their stretch of river, forcing younger males to look elsewhere for food.
And those are the animals, these teenage animals, that are most likely to become itinerants. Because if they can't find a place to live on the river, they need to get out fast, otherwise they're going to get killed by the large dominant males.
This may explain the growing number of young males that Tommy Nichols is trapping in Darwin Harbor. Via water, the city is 200 miles away. That's a very long swim, even for a crocodile. Adam wants to see if it's possible. Nighttime in Kakadu is when crocodiles come out to play. They're everywhere.
Yeah, he's not bad, actually. There's a candidate, so we'll go and have a look at him.
Adam is working with the rangers to find out where the young males that get evicted are going.
Okay, Mabes, you want to grab this harpoon pole here?
They're using satellite transmitters to monitor their movements. But first, they've got to catch one.
Of course, this is the advantage of doing this at night. The crocodiles all sit on top of the bank.
Yeah.
Much easier to see them than it is during the daytime.
Oh, here he comes, to the right. Well, that was what we hope is a sub-adult male. Yeah, there he is, he's going that way. Look.
As soon as he comes up, back behind the head. And just try and hook that harpoon pole when it comes up alongside him.
There he is.
All right, snout rope ready, Mabes?
It's about 11 foot.
Right there, back. Oh, you're a cheeky boy.
He doesn't like your boat, Gary.
Get back. Yep, that's him, beautiful. Slide that pipe off. Okay.
Oh, now he's not happy.
Take your pipe off. Just another one, mate. Get your hands on a boat hook. Right on his head.
Yeah, you got him.
Getting an angry 300-pound reptile into your boat is no picnic.
Just tying it up. Hold on. Get him. Get his back legs.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
The croc won't forget this night in a hurry. But fear of contact with humans is a good thing.
3, 2, 1. He's not light, is he?
Adam and Gary aren't giving up the fight.
Like it's head butt, straight on the head.
This is just another day in the office for Gary and the rangers here. Catching this animal looks like he's about 11 feet long. Probably a sub-adult male. He's exactly the kind of animal that is going to get kicked out of these river systems. So the whole objective here is to put a tag on it and try and find out just how he's actually moving around. Okay, and onto the grass. How are you going to do that?
It's been a long night for the rangers in Kakadu and scientist Adam Britton.
Beautiful.
They need to know if the movement of crocodiles here bears any relation to the increase in attacks in Darwin. They'll attach a satellite transmitter and hope it will stay on long enough to find out just how far the young male crocs are moving around.
So our satellite transmitter should be transmitting every 10 minutes for the next 2 weeks. So all we need to do now is go and release him. He's taking some deep breaths.
This individual is the latest addition to a fleet of crocodiles they've been tracking in Kakadu. Hopefully, the data will help solve the mystery of the attacks happening 200 miles away near the city.
Well, there he goes.
The satellite data show the crocs in Kakadu are definitely on the move. The data points on the map lay out a trail heading straight towards the sea.
Several of the crocodiles that we tagged here move downstream, which is actually north towards the coast. What was surprising was the distances that these animals moved, and they were doing this over a very short period of time.
One crocodile swam 30 miles in one day, literally surfing downriver with the outgoing tide.
The crocodiles that were moving the long distances were the ones that didn't have a home, they didn't have a territory, and so they were having to move a long way and find somewhere safer that they could live. So now that we've reached the coast, quite a few crocodiles headed west in that direction, and in that direction lies Darwin.
Adam scours the muddy water for telltale signs of reptiles on the move.
There he is. Okay, there's a huge saltwater crocodile down in the water just then. It's just gone underwater now.
Despite their name, saltwater crocodiles prefer to live in rivers. In the salty sea, they can't drink and rarely eat. But their tolerance for salt water means they can travel long distances through the sea, from one river system to the next. This movement out to sea and along the coast is exactly what Adam's data is showing him. The crocs are leaving the rivers that are already full and are heading west in search of new rivers to occupy.
It was quite surprising just how far some of these animals moved. Not just one river system, but often 4 or 5 river systems.
This explains why so many crocodiles are swimming along the coast towards Darwin.
If a teenage male crocodile decides he's going to have to get out of Dodge, he's got really 2 options. The first is they can swim downstream to the coast and move around the coast and try and find another river system.
The second option during the wet season is to swim upstream into flooded freshwater creeks to find a new home.
Now, what's interesting is that correlates very nicely with the increase in crocodile attacks that have been taking place in these areas.
Either miles upstream or completely downstream in the sea. The roaming crocs in these fringe habitats are already more stressed. There's less food available, and they're homeless. So they're more likely to be aggressive. They're more likely to attack.
And so that's the situation that we find today. Most of the tidal rivers are full to capacity with saltwater crocodiles, and they're moving out into all of these freshwater areas. And because most people living in places like Darwin have only been living here for the last 10, 20 or 30 years, they don't know what the normal situation is. If they were to go back 100 years, they would find that there were crocodiles everywhere, just as there are today.
Darwin's new suburbs were built in vacant crocodile country. And now they're coming home. As both populations continue to grow, there will be more victims like Brioni Goodsell. Something's got to be done. But the question remains, what? Darwin has a problem on its hands. Its villain is not a newcomer invading for the first time. It's an old resident who's simply returning home.
Really, all that's happening here is that saltwater crocodiles are reclaiming the territory that they were shot out of over the last 100 years.
Only this time, there are people everywhere too. When hunting began, there were 2,500 people in Darwin. Now, there are 120,000. And there are 100,000 crocodiles, almost one for every person in the city. People and crocodiles are vying for habitat. Ranger Tommy Nichols knows the stakes are getting higher.
I got no doubt there will be another death from a crocodile attack. There's no doubt about it.
Taxidermist Mick Pittman maintains that hunting is the answer. But trophy hunters like him are after the big boss crocs. A large head like this is worth thousands once it's cleaned up and preserved. But these giants aren't the ones attacking people. So trophy hunting wouldn't solve the problem. And Adam doesn't think a widespread cull would help either.
Hunting is not the solution with crocodiles, for one simple reason. Unless you can wipe out every single crocodile, it's still not safe to swim.
In the absence of hunting, there may be an alternative.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see his movements when he's released.
Out in Kakadu, Adam Britton and Gary Lindner are experimenting.
Interacting with the fishermen.
They're testing a new technique for dealing with problem crocs in the park.
Let's see if it works, eh?
Rather than kill them, they can move them. But with crocodiles, that's easier said than done.
One of the problems with relocating crocodiles is they have an uncanny ability to be able to find their way back to the place that you caught them. But what's really interesting is that crocodiles are very closely related to birds. And we know that birds navigate by using the Earth's magnetic field. So what we've done here is we've taken this giant magnet and we've taped it to the head of this crocodile. So hopefully he won't have the faintest idea where he's going. And when we release him, he won't be able to make his way back to the place that we caught him from.
They'll release the crocodile 25 miles from where it was caught and far from human habitation. If it works, it might help keep problem crocs away from popular fishing spots in the park. Thanks to the satellite transmitter, they'll know in a few days if the relocation's a success.
Beautiful.
Coming up now, David.
Oh, there is, yep.
But in the city, overrun with crocodiles, many don't want the problem crocs relocated. They want them dead.
In my opinion, the crocodile that killed my daughter is a problem crocodile. I would have liked that animal to be destroyed. They don't have a place here.
If the numbers were reduced, would you still feel safe swimming anywhere up here?
No, no. I'd never go swimming in the water.
Charlene believes more could have been done to warn people there were crocodiles in the area.
I am very angry. I'm very angry. But anger is very destructive as well, so I've got to balance it and use it to do some good.
Since Brione's death, warning signs now hang by the creek in Black Jungle. And they're appearing throughout the city. A constant reminder that crocodiles are here to stay. And if you dare enter the water in the wet season, almost anywhere, you could come face to face with Australia's killer crocodile.